Hi, 8th grade. Today we're going to be going over how to identify functions from tables. First, let's go over our rule for functions. What is our one rule for a function? Our one rule for a function is that every input must have one output. Input is the same as our x, and output is the same as our y, so this can also be said as for every one x value, there is one y value. Alright, so let's look at our first table. Here we have the x column, our input, and our output. So when we look at our first input, when x is 0, what can y equal? Y can equal 4. But if we look down below, when x equals 0, y can also equal 3. So when x is 0, y equals 3 or 4. So how many outputs are there for that one input? Because y can equal 3 or 4, there's one input, x equals 0, which has two outputs. So is this a function? No, this is not a function because one input can only have one output. So this is not a function. Now let's look at the next table. I think I actually flipped them around, so this table is the first one on your worksheet. But in this table, is this table a function? Let's go through our x values. When x equals -2, what does y equal? 4. Looking at your table, is there any other possible value that y could equal when x is -2? No. How about when x is -1? How many possible outputs are there? Just one. When x equals 0, y will equal 0. When x equals 1, y equals 1. And when x equals 2, y equals 2. The one thing that I do notice, though, is that we have two outputs that are the same. So even when you see two outputs are the same, does this mean that your table is not a function? No, because your one input still has one output. This one input has one output. So as long as your inputs are different, your outputs can be the same. So yes, this is a function. For the third table, try this one on your own. Is this table a function? The correct answer for this one is no. This is not a function. If we look at our table, we can see the 2 points that tell us why. So when x is -1, y equals 1. But then if we look down here, when x is -1, y also equals 2. So when x is -1, y equals 1 or 2. So your one input had two outputs. So it is not a function. One more, try this one on your own. This one is a function because if you look, all of your inputs are different. So every input only has one output. This input only has one output, this input only has one output, this input only has one output, and this input only has one output. When x equals 3, y can be nothing else except 3. It doesn't matter that your outputs are all the same as long as your inputs are different. I want to go over one more example from Princeton's exit ticket yesterday. Is this table a function? This table is not a function because if you look, when your input is 2, your y value could be 3, your y value could be 5, your y value could be 4, or your y value could be 6. So when x equals 2, y equals 3, 4, 5, and 6. So for your one input, how many outputs are there? You have one input with 4 outputs. So this is not a function. Go ahead, try the rest of the worksheet on your own. We'll go over them together. Don't worry if you're still confused on how to identify functions from the table.